Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Ask Engine. Today we're taking a look at Vroid. Vroid version 1.0, the most stable release, is now here. And for those who have no idea what this tool is, it is an anime avatar creator. The beautiful thing about Vroid right now is there is also a mobile version. You can simply go over to the Play Store or the App Store and grab it. And of course you can start creating some pretty beautiful things with it. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at two different versions of this that you can get for your desktop. The first time you launch this website, you would notice that it's going to be in Japanese, and you can click on this tiny button to switch it to English. And this is just so that you can understand what's going on. It's also worth knowing that this most stable release of Vroid is available for Windows and Mac, and at the same time you can get it on Steam. So with that said, we're going to dive directly into the tool and see how it works. And with the Vroid Studio simply open, you would notice that we have this in Japanese. And how do you change it to English? Click on this button, go over to the first one, and you can notice that we have English here. Turn that on. If you like to have a light scene, you can have this. If you want to have a darker scene, if you like to preview your images in high quality, you can set this as well. Now, if you click on new, you can choose to create a feminine or a masculine figure. And in this case, we're just going to go ahead and stick with the feminine one. And once you click on that button, it loads, open up the viewport, and you can see what you have. Now, how you navigate within this is quite simple. With your right mouse button, if you click and hold down and move this left and right, you can simply orbit around the model. You can zoom by rolling the mouse wheel in, and if you hold down shift on your keyboard, with the left mouse button, you can pan. All right, so it's pretty interesting. Right here, you notice that we have the face sets, and within the face set, you can choose what kind of faces you like to get, and you can select this one. Maybe you like something like this. Depending on what you want, you can select them there. If you like to make changes to the eye, to the iris, maybe you like to make some changes to the eyebrow or the nose, whatever change you like to make, you can simply select these things and start making those changes from here. You can also choose to make changes to the skin, and you can make changes to the face by adding a couple of face paints. So if you like to get something like that, that's pretty cool. If you like to have something like this, this is also really, really nice. If you don't want to have any of this, simply click on this button and it will be off. Now for the hairstyle, there's a couple of hairstyles that you can get with this. And you can also notice that right around here, we have various sections of hair types and hair extensions that you can add. So you can choose to select a hairstyle like so. Not looking bad. Actually, let's get this one, or maybe we can get this very anime-like one. Awesome. And then we can proceed to add some extras if you would like to add some extras. If you like to get some things by the side, like already we have this one. If you like to have this other one, you can switch it. If you like to play with the colors, you can play with the colors from here. If you like to edit the hairstyle, or you want to edit the hair bounce, you can edit it from there. You can also choose to play with the body. You can also choose to play with the parameters. So in this case, if you like to make this a much more taller, smaller character, you can do that. Make it a bit more masculine, bring that down. Play with the body size if this is what you want. If you like to play with the neck height, you can also make changes. So it's highly customizable. And with that said, you can also go over to the outfit. And this part is where I believe a lot of you guys will spend time, because there's a whole wardrobe of things that you can mix and match. You can throw this onto your model. So we have this looking nice. You can switch, get that summer vibe. All right, you can also play with the sailor looking stuff, looking nice as well. And you can get the maid version and see what you have here, and you can just simply go wild with this, play with it. And it's also worth knowing that most of these outfits, the way we have them here, you can choose to customize this thing. So if you go over to the dress section and you select a dress like so, you can choose to customize this, and you can just go ahead, customize this to your liking, and just a whole lot of things. For shoe, there's also updates to the shoes, and you can change the shoes however you want. You like something like that, that looks really nice. If you like to play with some socks, you want to change the socks, we can also get some pretty decent socks like this. You can get these socks, and this looks good. All right, so once you're done, if you also want to edit the textures, which is really, really nice, you can also edit the textures from here. So if you click on edit texture, you can edit the texture of literally everything. You want to edit the texture of the clothes, the model, the hair, the eyes, everything. You can edit these textures on the fly. Right now, we are looking at the shoe, and if you like to edit the texture of, let's say, the inner bottom, or maybe the inner top, or maybe the dress itself, you can simply select that dress, and you can see that this loads up. For those that are into modeling and stuff that would like to use this, you can see what the UV looks like, and for the most part, this looks quite decent. So if you like to make some changes, or maybe you like to make some paintings here, you can play with the brush width like so, and we can go wild. All right, so we can go wild, add some stuff here, play with the color, go all the way like so, and just add, add in some stuff. If you don't want to have any of this, you can undo this and get that out. If you like to edit the top, you can also switch from the dress, and you can go all the way to where we have the long coat. Click on the layer that is responsible for the texture, and you can get it. You can also choose to add extra layers, and this is for those who like to overlay setting, paintings, or texture details in. You also have the eraser brush that you can use. You also have the blur brush, and this just simply makes sense. So depending on what you want to do, texture painting is available and you can use it. So with that said, if we click on the X button, we can choose to save this or simply close the texture editor without saving. Moving forward, there are certain accessories that you might want to add to your model. In this case, we only have about 2, which one of them is the glasses, and we have the furry ears. So if you like to add in some rabbit looking ears, let's grab that here and position this however we want. Let's go all the way here and position this one in. Let's rotate our character. All right, so if you like to add something like this, looking nice, if you like to throw in some glasses, I think we should just have like a thin glass. If you like to make changes to the color, you have that option, so you can make that change. Let's actually color pick to match, and let's just make that a little bit darker, something like that. Okay, so now that we have this, we can go over to the looks section and we can play with the shading, play with the eye alignment, play with the bones, just make all these changes. Now for the best part, what if you're done and you like to export these and take these over to an app like Blender? Of course you can. So all you need to do is click on this tiny button here, and you can now export, or you can upload this to the Vroid Hub. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the export as VRM, and this page would simply open. And once it does, let's move this all the way up, you would see the export information that pertains to this character. Now, if you like to reduce the bones, play with the bones, you want to play or reduce the material size, and maybe you like to check out the polygons and also proceed to play with it and see if you like to adjust this, all these things are here. Now, once you're done with this and you're satisfied, click on export, and you need a title to go in this. So in this case, we could say that this is avatar. All right, so we're just going to call this our avatar, and we can put a creator, and we can fill up these other things. Now, it is very important that you fill these two. These other ones are things that you can fill up later. If you like to export this for commercial use, you can do that. And if you like to also put some extra details, you can do this. Once you're done, click on export. A dialog box pops up, and then you need to enter the name and click on save. And once you save this, this will be saved to a particular directory. And once you go over to that directory, you would notice that we have the file avatar.vrm. And this is the file that we would like to use. In most cases, you can bring these over to Unity by simply using a couple of tools. But in this case, we would like to bring this over to Blender. And all we need to do is just simply right click, rename this, and change the extension to GLB. And once we do that, we can say yes, we'll show off what we want. And the next thing which we can do is to go over to File, go over to Import, and import these into Blender by simply using the GLB extension. Now, if you import this into Blender, you'd notice that the texture comes in, the joints comes in, every single thing that you did on Vroid Studio or that you did in Vroid Studio is now here, and you can tweak this thing however you want. Now, it is worth knowing that if you're into animation, you can go ahead and start animating these, add some controllers if you like, and you can have fun working with this as it looks pretty nice. One thing which you would not be able to get with this at this point is you would not be able to get blend shapes. So there are no blend shapes for you to work with, or shape keys as they are called in Blender, but you can literally do every other thing with it. There are joints at basically every single section of this character, so you can start tweaking these and start getting some pretty interesting results. Now, with that said, how do you now bring this over to Maya? Because by default, Maya natively do not accept GLB files or GLTF files. So what we need to do is to export this out as FBX, and then we can import this directly into Maya. Once our file loads in, it will come in with the mesh and also the joints, but there is just this thing that doesn't work with this file at this point when you're working with Maya. So if I simply go ahead and check it out, if we turn on the materials, you'll notice that the materials are not here. So what you need to do is to find a way to pick these materials out of Blender and export them, and you can bring them right here. So you might also be asking, what about this entire joint? We have like the crazy joint happening. So the quick trick for this is make sure that you have your joints, this huge joint selected in such a way So I'm just going to go ahead and select just this huge joint and then go over to where you have the channel box, turn on a layer and simply hide them. Now, once you hide them within the layer, you would also notice we have these other ones. So the best thing to do to reduce the joint change sizes is to go all the way to the base joint, which is this one. And by default, if you choose to start scaling this, it will scale the model and not the joint. So what we want to do is to reduce the radius of the joint chains. So with the base one selected, or the root joint selected, go over to your select and simply select the hierarchy. And once you select that, we can go over to radius and set this to 0. Let's try that at 4. That's a lot, so 0.04 might be cool. All right, maybe 0.02 can be nice. All right, so once we have that there, the next thing we need to do is to turn this on, and you'll notice that automatically they are right there. So you can now go ahead and play with this. And if you like to rotate the head, move that back and forth. And for the most part, if you like to get your textures, you can come over to Blender and get these textures out. So how do you get the textures out from Blender over, to Maya and maybe any other tool? And how you can do this is very simple. You can choose to do this by going over to the rendering section, and if you click on the drop down, you will notice that we have all the textures here. So if I click on any of these, let's say for example, I'm selecting this one, I can now go over to image, and if this is packed, I can choose to unpack it, or I can just go over to this section and save it out. So if you save it out, you can now bring this over to Maya and start working with it. For those that might be asking about the topology, this is how the topology looks. So let's just go ahead and select this and go over to where we have our wireframe, and you can see what the topology looks like. Meanwhile, there are certain features within the beta, which of course you can still go to the website and download for free, that did not make it to the final build of Vroid Studio. So one of them is this, that if you go over to where we have the camera export, if we go over here, you would notice that we have pose and animation. So at this point, you can select different animations, looking nice. I really wish that at the end of the day, we'll be able to export these animations, but this isn't something that is available at this point. Like if you convert this to the GLB, I haven't been able to find that out. Actually, that doesn't even exist in, the final build. The final build doesn't have any of that stuff. So in terms of animation, the final build didn't come with that. I was really hoping to see this, and I was also hoping to see some cool poses, like you can pose your stuff. You have these things just in case you like to pose it. You had a very cool control rig for the character. There was also post-processing that was existing here, so you can pose, throw in some bloom, throw in some anti-aliasing if you like to do some color grading. All this stuff never made it to the final one, which are pretty interesting. The background things as well. Expressions did make it, but not in this way. All right, these expressions where you can play with the neutral stuff, all these expressions, they made it in, but not in this way. All right, so let's actually take a look at that. If we go over to the Vroid and we go over to face and go all the way down here, we talked about the fact that we had the face set and all this stuff. If you go all the way down here, there are expressions that you can launch in here. So if you like to have the character be like, oh my god, what did you just say? Yep, it has it. Maybe you like to play with the looks. Maybe you want the character to, wink, ting. And if you're also thinking about, inside the mouth, you want to play with it, depending on what you want to do, basically, you just have these shapes and you can tweak them. Now, the shapes are here, but you don't get to see shape keys in Blender. And this is also something that I actually felt maybe we can get, like if artists would like to tweak this and get that pretty cool stuff, they should be able to have this. Although I still understand, I still respect the fact that this wasn't intended to be used in tools like this. I feel it's mostly like you finish it up and you take it over to a VTuber tool, or maybe, you just take it to a VR tool and start working with it. And I guess the VRM will definitely work well in those places, but right here we don't have that. Now, while we speak about things that we don't have, there's also something that is very cool that I felt we would have been seeing here, but we didn't. Okay, so what is that? If you go over to the hair section, like it doesn't matter. If you go over to any of this hair section, what we have is predefined hair. And if we click on the custom and click on the plus sign, you notice we just have this, which means that we can only edit the texture of the hair. And this is just what you have. But then if you go over to what we had, and let's say we go right to where we have the hair editor, there's this pretty cool hair editor that, you know, it just makes sense. It's very interesting to see that these existed before. So if we move this all the way, you can see this beautiful hair. We can click on the brush and you notice that we have something that looks like a cage, and we can check out the hairbrush, and you can, you know, select this if this is what you want, and you can select the brush and swipe, and then you can create your hair. So this way it's actually very easy to create your hair. You can go over to the bone section, see what bone manipulates what. If you like to tweak the hair, you can click and you can tweak this hair however you want. I can select that and tweak the hair however I want. I can also choose to select the retouch and retouch this hair, you know, just to position it how I would like it to be. And this was really, or should I say, this is really nice. It's just that it never made it to the final build. But regardless of all of that, this is a pretty cool tool, and I would suggest that you go ahead and check it out. So for those who have been thinking and wondering, how can I create anime characters really quick? Is there an anime character creator? This tool is right here and you can take full advantage of it. You can simply go over to the website vroid.com and download the beta or download the full build and start working with it. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section. And of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like, and don't forget to share with a friend. And until I see you guys in the next one, peace.